Okay, well, thank you very much. Magandang araw sa ating lahat po, nasaan man kayo po. Lahat mga Filipinos dito sa Malaysia, dito po, particularly dito po sa Kota Kinabalu City, sa Sabah po. And of course, sa mga overseas Filipino workers natin sa iba-ibang parte ng mundo. Ang mga Filipino migrants sa iba-ibang parte ng mundo. And of course, huwag natin kalimutan i-greet din po ang mga kapatid, kaibigan at kababayan natin dyan mismo po sa bayan natin we call the Philippines. Huwag natin kalimutan din, very special talaga ito po, concern ko po. Huwag natin kalimutan ang mga earthquake victims natin kahapon dyan sa Pilipinas, particularly dyan sa Southern Mindanao po. May mga balita tayo ngayon dito tungkol sa earthquake or tremor, or lindol, dyan po sa Pilipinas, yung 7.8 na nangyari po sa Southern Mindanao kahapon at 7:37 po. And dahil dyan po, marami po namatay. And let's all pray na yun to be rescued pa po, sana buhay pa sila. Because ang total number of fatalities ngayon po, tumaas na po. Yesterday we were reporting 1, 2, or 3. And the latest updates mayroon tayo po is that confirmed na mayroon tayong a total of 37 death. 37 namatay po, and the number is still counting. The number is still counting. The condolences to the relatives of those who perish, o namatay po sa earthquake disaster kahapon po. And may their soul rest in peace. And at the same time, sana po, ang mga relatives po will accept ang departure nila. And lahat tayo mga Filipinos po, I hope in whatever ways po, especially in prayers, kung pwede po, let us include ang sa kanila sa daily prayers natin. Sa daily prayers natin, especially yung namatay, and especially those that injured, and those who are still missing. Mayroon pa po mga missing. So huwag nating kalimutan. We as Filipinos, we are known to be God-fearing people, and at the same time, very caring people. Very caring people po. And din tayo po, we are very concerned sa neighbors natin. Especially when it comes to itong klaseng natural calamities like itong earthquake, what happened yesterday dyan sa Southern Philippines. And I just want to give you some details, ang mga fresh detalles tungkol sa earthquake kahapon po. And narinig natin, or it was officially reported that ang magnitude 7.8 na earthquake na nangyari dyan po sa Sarangani, sa Southern Mindanao, of Sarangani ito po, in Mindanao, kahapon, na-increase na po ang fatality, the number of fatalities or the number of death to 37 na po. And this was announced by no less than the Office of Civil Defense or OCDI today. According to OCDI Deputy Spokesperson si Diego Mariano, sabi niya po, as of this morning, 6 a.m., 33 deaths were reported in Sorsogon, 18 in Sarangani, 12 in General Santos, and 3 in South Cotabato. 4 deaths, meanwhile, were reported in Davao Region. So, ito po, the number of fatalities. During the interview with the media, especially dito po sa GMA7 News, ang unang balita this morning, sabi ang OCD spokesperson, si Juni Castillo, sabi niya po, those who died were hit by falling debris. Yun namatay po, namatay sila po dahil yung mga fallen debris po, yung nag-shake, nag-shake ang building nila. Tapos nahulog ang mga ang debris which caused the death of this mga kababayan natin po. A total of 456 persons were injured and 4 individuals remain missing. Remain missing yan po. The earthquake affected the earthquake affected 17,689 families or 77,186 individuals across affected areas in Mindanao. Search, rescue, and retrieval operations remain focused dyan po sa General Santos City and Sarangani among the hardest hit area according to Castillo. The most hardest hit area po ang earthquake po ay dyan po sa General Santos City and Sarangani. In terms of focus, we are looking at now in General Santos City and then Sarangani, so here in Region 12. So that is where our search, rescue, and retrieval operation is focused now, sabi ni Castillo. General Santos City was already placed under state of calamity, but responders have been deployed to assist in ongoing operation. Based on initial assessment, 9 bridges and 19 roads were damaged. The OCD also estimated infrastructure damage at more than 900 million pesos based on initial inspection. Authorities recorded 1,889 damaged homes, of which about 1,500 were totally destroyed. Castillo said no areas have so far been officially declared isolated despite damage to roads and bridges, adding that the relief supplies had already been prepositioned in various locations. Generators and fuel were already sent to hospitals and other critical facilities affected by the power outrage. General Santos International Airport sustained damage from the earthquake, prompting the cancellation or rerouting of flights. Military aircraft, government, and humanitarian flights, however, were allowed by the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines to use General Santos Airport upon the order of the Department of Transportation. Many residents have remained in open spaces and continuing aftershocks and concern over the structural integrity of their homes. The government is considering establishing temporary shelters and tent cities to accommodate displaced residents while damage assessments and recovery efforts continue. Meanwhile, classes were suspended in some areas today due to effects of the strong earthquake po. Yon po ang latest update sa mayroon tayo dito po sa insidente dyan sa northern Mindanao, particularly ang most affected areas is Sarangani at saka ang General Santos City po. General Santos City. And itong sabihin natin itong earthquake po, no? Itong earthquake 7.8 magnitude. Malakas ito, no? Malakas ito. Also felt dito po mismo sa atin sa Sabah, especially sa East Coast, no? Sa East Coast. And ang Prime Minister ng Malaysia, no? Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim, he conveyed Malaysia's solidarity with the Philippines following a powerful earthquake that struck off the country's southern region on Monday, saying Malaysia stands ready to provide any assistance required. Ang Pilipinas po, gusto magtulong din po ang Malaysia sa mga biktima ng earthquake dyan sa Pilipinas. Expressing deep concern over the incident, si Prime Minister Anwar said Malaysia's thoughts and prayers were with the Filipino people affected by the disaster. Sabi niya po, our thoughts and prayers are with the Filipino people. Malaysia stands ready to render whatever assistance may be required, he said sa Facebook niya po. The Prime Minister also noted that the impact of the earthquake was felt closer to home with tremors reported in parts of Sabah. He assured Malaysians that the government was closely monitoring situation and that emergency services had been placed on full alert. Malaysia and the Philippines are close friends and Asian partners. I pray for the safety and well-being of all those affected, wishing them strength and courage in difficult days ahead. Yun po, ang assurance ni Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim po. He said Malaysia will extend whatever assistance required by the Philippine authorities po in easing easing the sufferings of the earthquake victims. Dito sa Sabah, narinig din natin po, we felt ang sabihin natin ang earthquake, hindi masyadong malakas, but we felt it, especially dyan sa East Coast area, kagaya ang Ladatu, ang Tawau, ang Sempurna. In fact, dyan po sa Sempurna, very known itong a district for a lot of tourists going to for holidays, especially dyan po sa mga resorts, island resorts natin, like ang Sipadan. So, kahapon, when they felt itong tremor or itong earthquake po, alerto agad ang mga tour operators po, and total of 700 operators, workers, tourism sectors, including foreign tourists po, were prevented from going to the sea or going to their island resorts po for security purposes po. For security purposes. Yun po, immediately, ang marine authorities natin dyan po sa area, not only in Sempurna, but also in Ladatu and Tawau, they immediately were alerted and prevented or discouraged ang mga small craft from going to the sea, which is a very good po, which is a very good safety measure taken by the local authorities dito po sa Sabah. Huwag natin kalimutan po, may mga aftershocks pa, and don't be too confident po. Siguro ngayon they have to observe, monitor muna ang situation before they go out and to the respective tourist or island resort destinations nila po, ang mga turista po. And mga operators are reminded to take extra precautionary measures, and wag natin kalimutan to strictly comply whatever sabihin natin advices ang local authorities natin dito po in Sabah is giving to the public po for safety precaution or safety measures para sa ating lahat po. Ang mga Filipinos dito sa Sabah, may mga relatives natin sa affected areas ng 7.8 earthquake. Kahapon po, we sympathize. I know, I can feel also how worried you are. Pero wala na tayong magawa. Dito tayo sa Sabah. Just try to, sabihin natin, connect them and hope that they are, itong mga relatives natin sa Pilipinas, hope that they are fine, And whatever assistance we can give, let's give whatever assistance, be it financial or whatever la po. Particularly, prayers, prayers para sa mga kababayan, kaibigan, at mga kapatid natin, be it Filipinos or be it non-Filipinos who affected or apektado po sa sabihin natin sa earthquake kahapon. So yon ang latest updates mayroon tayo dito. And I would like to give you also a footage, video clip tungkol sa, kasi I believe many sa atin dito sa Sabah, dito sa Kota Kinabalu po, mayroon din tayong mga relatives dyan po sa Sarangani at saka sa General Santos po. So, kumusta ang sitwasyon sa General Santos? Let me share with you itong video clip. So, at this, you will know, mga relatives dito sa Sabah, you will know anong sitwasyon dyan po sa General Santos City. General Santos City po. Dito po ang interview ng Tet Filon, si DJ Shasha, sa City Council Information Officer ng General Santos. Let's watch and listen itong sabihin natin na interview po sa General Santos. Sandali po. Alright. Okay. Sandali po. Let me prepare first. Okay. Let me prepare. Alright. Nandito. And okay, let's watch and listen itong interview po. Hold on.
Ang kanila pong City Public Information Officer, dyan niya sa Gensan, si Sir Rombel Catolico. Sir Rombel, good morning po.
Good morning, Chacha.
Magandang umaga po. Maraming salamat po sa oras ngayong umaga. Sir, kamusta na po ang sitwasyon dyan ngayon on the ground sa Gensan? Nakakaranas pa rin po ba tayo ng aftershocks?
As of yesterday, ang naranasan ng Gensan na aftershock, nakatala ng at 138 na aftershock. Pero ngayon parang wala naman po.
Sir, nagsimula na rin po ba yung ating pong search and rescue efforts? At kamusta na po yung casualty natin dyan sa Gensan?
Of course, as to the response team yesterday, ang ating as of 6:12 ng umaga ngayon, meron tayong missing na 4, ang namatay 13, ang injured 144.
Saan pong areas pinaka-apektado o mga barangay dyan po sa Gensan, sir?
On my visual appreciation kahapon, almost lahat ng mga barangay, they have this share of earthquake experience naman po, and then most of the barangay here in Gensan somehow affected it.
Yung 4 po na nawawala, saan mga barangay po ito, sir?
As to the missing person data, I'll check the primer first.
Kahapon po. Yes po. Sir Rombel, kahapon po ba during the earthquake, nawalan po ba ng kuryente sa ilang lugar dyan sa Gensan?
Opo. Pati pa water supply po. But then, as of this dawn, naibalik naman po ang kuryente.
So maayos na po yung supply natin ng kuryente at ng tubig sa ngayon?
Opo.
Kamusta po yung linya ng komunikasyon? Down din po ba yan kahapon at okay na rin po ba ngayon?
Yes po, medyo mahina at napaka-challenging ang mga linya ng ating komunikasyon kahapon, but then as of this time, okay naman po.
Kumusta po ang mga kalsada natin, Sir Rombel? Meron po bang hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa?
As to our road here in Gensan, passable naman po.
Lahat po ito?
Yes.
So kahapon, sir, wala tayong damages sa mga kalsada na naitala?
As of yesterday, wala pong damage sa kalsada. Ang meron lang yung mga structural damage, but I could, as to yung sa mga buildings dapat, I could not discuss it thoroughly if partially or totally, because ang makakapagsabi lang po niyan ang Office of the Building Official at ang Civil Engineering Office. Ito po ang as to numbers ng ating mga structural damage. At least ang 5 mall, ang 7 hospital, 4 na hotel, 5 school, ang 3 restaurant or food chain, 2 bangko, 2 pharmacy, and then ang 2 simbahan po at 8 government offices and then Jan.
Two worlds, two economies meet in one place.
As to school, kasi especially yung sa mga elementary schools and high school, public schools here in Jansan, as to structural damage, ngayon pa po maglilibot ang team ng City Engineering Office and the Office of the Building Official para i-ascertain ang mga structural integrity ng ating mga schools. So, kasi they are still waiting for a clearance na pwede na nilang pasukin yung mga gusali.
So sa ngayon po,
Alright, yun po, narinig natin ang interview ni DJ Shasha sa Information Officer ng General Santos City po. Yon disaster o yon tremor o yon earthquake kahapon po, no? Ang dami din they felt ang tremor, hindi lang po sa southern Mindanao, particularly sa Sarangani at saka sa General Santos, sa mga iba-ibang parte ng Mindanao din. That includes, nakita natin sa mga social media posting na may panic din po sa Zamboanga City ang mga residente ng dyan sa Sangali. For example, barangay Sangali po, nag-panic din sila dahil tumaas din ang tubig ng dagat dyan po sa Sangali. And of course, mismo sa Zamboanga City, mismo sa Zamboanga City, ang mga tao din po medyo na-alerto, and to the extent that even ang mayor ng Zamboanga City, si Kimer Olaso, also came out and extend whatever assistance to cool down ang mga tao po, ang sitwasyon dyan po sa Zamboanga City dahil some of them were panic already, and all mga government agencies po, no, especially those involved in calamities, no, they were alerted immediately po in the event. Kailangan talaga magtulong sa mga residente dyan sa Zamboanga City. That also includes same thing happened sa mga authorities, local authorities in Basilan Province, no? Basilan Province, likewise dyan po sa probinsya ng Sulu, including ang probinsya ng Tawi-Tawi. I was made to understand, and nakita ko rin po sa mga posting dyan po sa social media platform natin po, no? Facebook, na there are some damages nangyari dyan po sa pier ng Bonggao, no? Dahil tumaas ang tubig ng dagat po dyan po sa pier ng Bonggao o sa port ng Bonggao po. And medyo may panic situation na experience ang mga tao doon, but luckily, no, thanks God, I would say thanks God na at least wala yon tsunami, no? Tsunami. Although nag-release almost all the areas in southern Mindanao po, nag-release ang tsunami warning, but after I think 3 or 4 hours po, na-suspend na ang warning, and safe na po. Safe na po ang dagat natin po. So for those who wants to see, maybe I will share with you some video clips po, no? Tungkol sa earthquake kahapon, in various areas in the Philippines po, no? At least you will just have the idea lang yan po, no? You will have an idea kung ano talaga nangyari kahapon. Ano ito? Siguro, yeah, let me share with you itong video clip po. Hold on. Okay, let me share with you itong video clip for you to feel, see, paano na ang sitwasyon ng mga tao during the earthquake kahapon po, especially those students, no? Students po, because yesterday was the first day of, sabihin natin, school opening in the Philippines. So, nandito po, let's watch and watch this video clip po.
Zamboanga City. Lindol po dito ngayon sa Zamboanga City. Malakas po ang lindol sa Zamboanga City. Lindol po sa Zamboanga City.
Okay, yun po. I managed to collect itong mga video clips sa social media po for you to be able to see ano talaga paano ano ang sitwasyon na during itong tremor, itong earthquake nangyari kahapon dyan po sa Southern Philippines. Kawawa ang mga tao po, and huwag natin kalimutan. Again, I would like to say please include ang mga biktima ng earthquake sa prayers natin po. At kung mayroon man tayong mga kunti-kunti na we can extend helping hands to them po, let us do that through the authorities concerned po, no? Kasi kawawa talaga mga kababayan natin. And of course, siguro hindi lang po mga Filipino sa apektado, no? Siguro mayroon din tayong mga bisita, mga foreigners dyan po during the calamity or during the earthquake po, no? So, ang gobyerno, I was made to understand na nandyan po, they are already extending helping hands. Sabi nga ni President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., he already ordered or gave the directive to all the government department concerned to extend whatever assistance that the government can extend to them. Likewise, I was made to understand na busy-busy din ang team ni Vice President Inday Sara Duterte visiting mga affected areas to extend whatever assistance that they can extend to the earthquake victims po. Yon, that is the situation now. And Panginoon, I pray and hope that you will intervene. Tama na po siguro, Panginoon, na itong disasters, natural disasters. We cannot do anything pagdating sa natural disaster po. And the only thing that we can ask is from our Panginoon, our Creator, to stop all these calamities po, kagaya yon earthquake. And nandito na tayo po sa wet season. And sana lang po, we will not experience any more strong typhoons po within these remaining months of the year. Because normally, ang Pilipinas will experience at least 15 to 20 typhoons every year po. And among those 10 to 20 typhoons po, some of those are strong typhoon po, super strong typhoon po. Sana let us all pray na it will not happen, no? It will not happen. And a situation now that we are facing, may problema na tayo po sa politika, and may problema din tayo sa buhay natin, daily lives natin, tungkol sa mga fuel prices. Ang mga bilihan natin po tumaas na talaga po dahil sa conflict dyan po sa Middle East, Alright, so yun po ang latest updates natin tungkol sa earthquake. So, maybe before I'm going to conclude itong programa natin, Nick Talk, the Real Talk with Nico on June 9, Tuesday tayo ngayon po. Maybe I will share with you another video clip regarding ang political situation dyan po sa Pilipinas. And I decided to share with you this video clip in an English version po, no? A report about the situation sa Pilipinas natin, ang political situation sa Pilipinas natin, for not only us Filipinos. I know we Filipinos, we understand, we can understand English, and ang mga foreigners natin po, they don't understand, not everybody understand ang local dialect natin or language natin, Tagalog. So it is for this reason that sabi ko, I will share with you po itong video clip, a report ito po, talking about the political landscape or political scenario dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially what is happening dyan ngayon sa Senado natin. So, nandito po ang report. Hold on po. Nandito ang report and yeah, you hold on. Nandito po.
And now the country...
Alright, nandito. So, let's watch and listen to this report.
Whose highest court is being asked to step in and decide who truly runs the upper chamber. At the center of it all is a session that lasted just a few hours but sent shockwaves to
Okay,
the entire
sandali.
Philippine political establishment
I will
on June 3rd, 2020.
adjust muna tayo itong video clip. Hold on po, para mas klaro, mas disente.
And now the country...
Alright, nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this.
Whose highest court is being asked to step in and decide who truly runs the upper chamber. At the center of it all is a session that lasted just a few hours but sent shockwaves to the entire Philippine political establishment on June 3rd, 2026, the last day of session before Congress adjourned sine die. 12 senators gathered in the Senate plenary hall, declared a quorum, vacated all elected leadership positions, and installed Senator Sherwin Win Gatchalian as Senate President pro tempore and acting Senate President pro tempore, and acting Senate President. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, who had held the Senate presidency for only 23 days, found himself stripped of the post, or so the new majority claimed. Cayetano has refused to accept the outcome. He dismisses the session as unconstitutional, insisting that a proper quorum requires the presence of at least 13 senators. Cayetano strongly condemned the reorganization, framing it as a direct threat to democratic institutions. Standing firm against his ouster, Cayetano said, "They can try to remove me, they can kill me, but they will not kill the idea of a democratic Philippines led not by men, but by law, led by the Philippine Constitution." The session that triggered the crisis had been building for days. After the Senate adjourned on May 26, 2026, session was scheduled to resume on Monday, June 1, and on Tuesday, June 2, but Cayetano failed to appear in both instances. With the chamber unable to convene for 2 consecutive days, the opposing bloc argued that continuing inaction risked a violation of the Constitution itself. Gatchalian warned that the Senate had been adjourned and unable to resume session for the past 2 days, placing them on the brink of a constitutional violation had they not convened on June 3. The key figure who tipped the scales was Senator Francis Chiz Escudero, who had below near to the majority bloc under Cayetano, attended the June 3 session and helped 12 senators reach the quorum needed to proceed. His defection proved decisive. No other member of the Cayetano-aligned bloc followed. When the session was called to order with Escudero present, Senator Tito Soto III moved to declare all seats vacant, and no senator objected. This was followed by nomination, also by Soto, to seat Gatchalian as Senate President pro tempore, replacing Senator Lauren Legarda. The legal justification for the 12-member quorum rests on the landmark 1949 Supreme Court ruling. Gatchalian said the quorum of 12 was based on the majority of 22 senators, over whom the Senate could obtain jurisdiction, citing the Supreme Court ruling in Avelino v. Cuenco and a 2015 Senate precedent. The reasoning hinges on the fact that 2 sitting senators, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa and Senator Ronald Beto de la Rosa and Senator Jinggoy Estrada, were effectively unavailable to the Senate. The IVP cited the FAF CTX that one senator was detained in connection with a non-bailable offense and another had been reported missing since May 11, placing them beyond the Senate's immediate reach. On that basis, the Senate had 22 available members, meaning 12 senators constituted a majority sufficient for a quorum. The Integrated Bar of the Philippines, the official and mandatory organization for all Filipino lawyers, came out swiftly in support of the new majority's position. The IBP declared that the Senate session of June 3rd, 2026 was lawful and valid following the Avellino Doctrine because a quorum of 12 senators was constituted. It went further, stating that all acts, resolutions, and decisions made by the Senate during its session of June 3rd, 2026 are presumed to be official acts of the Philippine Senate following the presumption of regularity in the discharge of official functions. A separate statement echoing the same position was issued by a group of law deans, professors of jur, political science, political theorists, and canon law experts who warned that continued uncertainty over quorum and leadership could paralyze the Senate and erode public trust. The IBP also emphasized that the Avellino ruling takes a practical approach. The Constitution should be interpreted in a way that allows the Senate to function and not be blocked by the absence of members who cannot realistically be made to attend. Despite the weight of legal opinion behind it, the dispute is far from over. A private school teacher named John Barry Tyam formally brought the matter before the Supreme Court on June 5, filing a 20-page petition for certiorari. Tyam asked the High Court to declare that the physical presence and assembly of 12 senators during the June 3 session constituted a legally valid, binding, and constitutional quorum of the active available membership of the Senate. The petitioner explained his motivation plainly, saying people on social media are divided, even the legal experts. The Supreme Court has the final say. Former Senate President Franklin Drilon has also weighed in, arguing that the High Court's involvement has become unavoidable. Drilon said, "For me, the Supreme Court is needed because this has gone deep and far. Many statements have been made and the public and government operations are being inconvenienced if this is not resolved." He also made clear where he believes legitimate authority currently rests. Drilon said, "For now, the official Senate leadership belongs to Gatchalian's group. Unless this case reaches the Supreme Court and the High Court revokes it, not everyone agrees that the Supreme Court should rush in. However, University of the Philippines College of Law Associate Dean Paolo Tomase has urged caution, arguing that premature judicial intervention could backfire. Tomase said it's tempting to go immediately through the judicial route since the Supreme Court can definitively interpret the constitutional provisions and rules involved, but he added a pointed warning. But in past disputes like this, the court has been careful to function as a safety valve only when all options have been exhausted, since premature intervention will risk being seen by the public as partisans, regardless of what lawyers or even the court insists, and thus its legitimacy as a politically neutral body." Tomase noted that despite the ongoing power struggle, the Senate is not entirely without direction. He observed that there exists a functional majority in the chamber, with acting Senate President Gatchalian commanding 12 members, while the new minority under Cayetano has 10. There doesn't seem to be a grave urgency yet for the court to intervene unless critical developments emerge in the next few days. He said the crisis has also had immediate practical consequences inside the Senate building itself. The leadership conflict disrupted Senate operations, forcing staff to work from home, blocking media access. SSN resulting in competing commands over a Senate Blue Ribbon Committee investigation. The committee chairmanship of the Blue Ribbon was stripped from Senator Pia Cayetano and handed to Senator Erwin Tulfo as part of the leadership reshuffle. And within the IBP itself, the organization's unified position has not gone unchallenged. Several lawyers and law firms have pushed back against the IBP's position, supporting the legality of the Senate reorganization, arguing that the organization overstated its authority and misapplied legal precedent. The criticism signals that even among legal professionals, the battle lines remain contested. The broader political stakes are significant. Congress has adjourned until late July, meaning the Senate will likely have no permanently elected president until a special session is called or the regular session resumes. A quorum of 13 senators is required for the election of a permanent Senate president, and both Cayetano and Legarda continue to dispute the June 3 election, each still claiming their respective positions. The country now waits on the Supreme Court, whether it acts swiftly or holds back, as the institution that alone can deliver a final binding resolution to a crisis that has shaken one of of the Philippines' most powerful democratic institutions. What is clear is that the outcome will define not just who leads the Senate, but how the Philippine Constitution itself will be interpreted for years to come. What adds another layer of complexity to this crisis is the timing. The Senate's leadership vacuum comes precisely as the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte looms on the horizon, a proceeding that will require a functioning, legitimate Senate to preside over one of the most politically charged trials in recent Philippine history. With Congress adjourned, 2 senators either detained or missing, and the presidency of the upper chamber itself under legal cloud, the institution faces the real prospect of entering that trial without a settled, undisputed leader at the helm. For many Filipinos watching the chaos unfold, the deeper question is no longer simply about who sits in the Senate president's chair. It is about whether the Senate as an institution can still be trusted to hold itself together when the nation needs it most.
Alright, yan po. The situation dyan po sa Senado natin sa Pilipinas po. No? And I believe for us to solve this problem po, may dalawang option lang tayo po. Either the Supreme Court will come in and intervene and make a decision who will be or who is the rightful Senate President, mga officials nila po, or else ang some members of the now they call it the majority will jump to the camp of Cayetano or the other way around. Members from the Cayetano group will jump to the group of Gatchalian. Yun lang po, no? And maybe the third option is the people will make the decision. So yun po, what is happening dyan sa Pilipinas. Talking about the Blue Ribbon Committee, according to the lawyer of the 18 Marines po, sabi nila, si Attorney Balagot, sabi niya po na dapat lang si Senator Erwin Tulfo should inhibit himself from chairing the Blue Ribbon Committee po because his name was implicated or is implicated dyan po sa flood control projects. And the latest updates, mayroon tayo tungkol kay Senator Erwin Tulfo regarding itong Blue Ribbon Committee. Sabi niya po, he is more than willing to inhibit himself during the flood control project investigation to be carried out by the Blue Ribbon Committee po. No? Kung kailangan talaga po, he is more than willing to step down. No? And allow other people like Senator Kiko Pangilinan, who is the Vice Chairman elected sa grupo ni Gatchalian to head ang Vice Chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee. Blue Ribbon Committee. So yun po ang latest updates natin tungkol sa political scenario natin po. And once again, before I will end, I would like to ask and appeal each and every one of us, be it you belong to a different religion po, no? I am asking, appealing, reminding each and every one of us to include tayo po sa prayer natin ang mga biktima ng earthquake dyan po sa Pilipinas. So with this, once again, I would like to say thank you very much for making me a part of your day today. Ingat lang tayo, especially ang mga those in the affected areas of earthquake kasi mayroon pa tayong mga aftershocks po, and be careful and listen to the advice of the authorities concerned po who is giving mga notices po for our safety. Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines, God bless us all. Ingat tayong lahat and let's pray for a peace world po. Mayroon tayo, will be able to enjoy and enjoy life po, no? By having a peaceful world now and forever. Again, I'll see you in my next episode. Bye and I love you all. Ingat kayo.